Hey folks, it's Mike Shea from SlyFlourish.com here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy D&D Prep. This is a weekly show shot 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Times on Sundays in which I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday D&D game. In this case, I am running a homebrew Eberron game called Eberron the Second Mourning. This show is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish at patreon.com/SlyFlourish. If you want to help keep shows like this going and keep the website operating and all of the other odds and ends, and if you want to help support that, you can do so by going to patreon.com/SlyFlourish and becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. Those of you who are patrons, I thank you. Patrons of Sly Flourish get a few things. They get a monthly newsletter in which I describe all of the different activities that we've done here at Sly Flourish, the royal we. There is an exclusive Discord channel, so I have a Discord server, but that's open to everybody. But there's one channel in there that is specifically open to the patrons of Sly Flourish. You will also have access to an adventure that's exclusive for Patreon backers called Regnum Ratus, The Rats in the Cellar. This is a level 1 to 5 adventure in which characters meet with their friend who owns a bar and go down underneath and find the horrors that lie within. So it's a fun adventure. So I want to thank all of the Patreon backers of Sly Flourish, the patrons of Sly Flourish, for their support. So today we are going to be preparing for my Eberron game. In last week's session, hello everybody, everybody's here. Von Corlon is here. Hey, my mom is here. Hello, Mom. 10th of the 9 is here. Austin Nadas is here. So yeah, let's see. Last session, sorry for butchering everybody's names. Last session, the characters went into Tower 6 of Moorgrave University. They are seeking a book kept in the forbidden vaults of Tower 6 of Moorgrave University, known as the Tome of Kol Seer. They know it is a book of powerful magic that was put together from studies of the giants of Zendrek, and it focuses heavily on a destruction, like necromantic and illusion style magic, whatever that is. Enchantments? I don't know. Hey, Evil John is here. Hey, Evil John. So they went into the vaults. They decided to go a different path. They went in through some secret smuggler tunnels that exist between a local bar in the university district that goes underneath the district and then to underneath Moorgrave University. And it's through this through these smugglers' tunnels where many sort of illicit deals go on, where artifacts are stolen from Moorgrave University or borrowed or whatever, and transferred out of Moorgrave University without anybody knowing that they've been taken. So the characters went through. They met up. Let's see. They opened up some ancient sarcophagi and released a couple of mummies. That was a bad deal. They fought the mummies. One of the characters has been rotted and has mummy rot and currently can't recover hit points, and that's a real problem. And boy, he's real concerned about that. Comes up often. And they met a jackal-were who appeared to be like a refugee, or not like a refugee, but like a guy lost in the tunnels. And they quickly discovered it was a jackal-were and that he was one of many jackal-weres that were brought here by Leto Skal's right hand, a woman named Valentine Flametouched. Valentine Flametouched is her name. Valentine is secretly a Lamia. She is a cursed Lamia that had been brought back from Zendrek by one of Leto Skal's earliest expeditions. And Valentine's sister is the other flame something. It's in my NPC notes. Hang on, let's pull up the NPC notes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Notion. So let's go to NPCs. See my NPC database. And in here, Flamewind. So I have Valentine Flametouched and I have Flamewind. And they are siblings, but Flamewind is not cursed. Flametouched is cursed. Flametouched works as Leto Skal's right hand. You can see a picture of Leto Skal right here. And Flamewind is a researcher. Flamewind is her own thing. And she is researching the draconic prophecy in Moorgrave University. So it's possible the characters could run into Flamewind if they are trying to escape. But right now, they're inside the vaults. They realize that a bunch of jackal-weres are here too. They got past the stone golem protector by using the medallion that they received. And they just went into a vault. And I think they just got attacked by the Alep. So they went into a chamber where they found an orb called Lack, and Lack you can see right here. That orb-looking thing. That's a Palantir, but whatever. And the ghostly mist came up, and I gotta remember, I think that's where we ended. I don't think they beat it. So the strong start is they managed to grab the book. I think they fought the Alep already, but I can't remember. So I may have to skip the Alep if they fought it. I run so many games, 3 games a week. It's hard to keep everything in mind. So we will see. So last week I talked about using Notion. Everyone often asks, hey, what tool are you using? So I'm using a different tool for my campaign management now. I was using just a bunch of text files in an editor called Sublime, but a friend of mine clued me into Notion, and I've been using Notion now for about a week and a half. And I have fallen in love with it, and I'm now using it for 5 games. 4 games. I've got 4 games, 4 different campaigns that I'm running here, and I'm using them all in Notion. If you would like to follow along, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. If I do share, hang on. So go to the Second Mourning page, and I click share, and we share to the web, and I copy that link. And if I paste this in here, you can follow along in the notes themselves. That way, if you want to see this firsthand, you can open it up. You can also duplicate the notebook. But I suggest if you want to use this for your own campaign, I have a fresh campaign version of this, the Lazy Campaign template. And I will share this one. I've already shared, and I will stick that in here. So if you want to duplicate one for your own use, use the Lazy Campaign template. It is an easier one to use. But if you want to just follow along with the notes that I'm using, you can go to the Eberron one. So Shout77, does Notion support Markdown? It does. Not only does it support Markdown when you're typing, it also will export to Markdown. So you can export everything that you've got in here can be exported into Markdown and CSV. So you can escape. It has an escape hatch, which I think is an important thing. Something OneNote does not have. I'm not competing with OneNote. If you have OneNote and you love OneNote, go with OneNote. But I'm digging this because it does support much of the way I already operate. So let's go back to my Eberron campaign here. So if you're following along in a campaign notebook, the way that I start a new session is I go to the session planning template right here. This is what it looks like. It's a blank template with all of the steps from return in here. And I'm going to go here, session planning template, and I click here and I say duplicate. And it creates copy. And I'm going to drag that one to the top because it is now the most important one. And we're going to rename this one 14 June 2020, Sunday, Ron. So now I've got my new fresh template ready to go. And step 1 is, of course, review the characters. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to my Sunday characters. I described this, make sure this is, full width is on. So I described this in my last show that I did last Sunday. But basically what the way this notebook operates, if you're familiar with Notion, if you're not familiar with Notion, this might not make a lot of sense. And there's a lot of videos about how to use Notion. But essentially Notion has pages. And what you saw is a page. This is a page, right? And I can edit this just like a page. It also has a thing called a database. And you can create a bunch of different kinds of databases. And a database is essentially, I think of them like a stack of 3x5 cards, right? If you imagine you have each one of these is sort of a 3x5 card for things. And I have this big campaign database. This is everything in my Eberron campaign that is either a character, an NPC, an item, a location, what else? I have a scratch pad, and I can't remember. There's something else. Oh, yeah, no, as mentioned, location. So anyway, essentially, I can create a new card. See this new button? This is the campaign database. There's a bunch of ways to get to this. You create a new card, and you can make a new thing. So I might make Faravon. Might be a new NPC, right? And I say empty, and I click NPC. So it's now tagged NPC, right? And then I can put like Faravon is a new NPC. And when I'm done, I don't have to hit it. And now I've got this new Faravon thing. And then I can drag an image onto this and create a new, or drag it into this card here. and it will create that icon for the gallery view. So I try to put an image for everything. There is no such NPC as Eberron, so I'm going to delete that. So most of what exists in the campaign database, most of what exists in this campaign site exists in this campaign database. And it's all of those different things. But the notes themselves are pages, and you can sort of link the pages to items. So we're going to go back to my Eberron. We have this new notes, and we say, okay, step 1, review the characters. You see it's a nice little checkbox to remind you, did you do it? Do it. So we're going to review the characters first thing. We go to Sunday characters. These are characters that have been flagged. I will open them up. So we'll start with Zarentir. Zarentir, and you can see it's tagged Sunday character, and that's what filters this list down. So the Sunday characters page is actually a filtered view of the database to show just the characters that are flagged Sunday characters. Zarentir is played by Pat. He is a Tempest Storm Cleric, Storm Sorcerer, Mark of the Storm, half-elf, independent scion. His dad's kind of a dick, and he is just got the keys to his dad's airship, known as the Goldbright. So one option is to... I figured that this adventure option occurred. And he has a wand of magic missiles. He stole Dad's keys. So that is Zarentir. I don't know that I will be pulling. So the main question is, like, do they want to go get the Goldbright? It's going to be a scene, right? A potential scene. Banner is a Warforged Warforged Paladin of the Becoming God. I learned a trick here. So so this is called a bookmark, right? And this bookmark goes straight to the character page. However, I found a nice trick, which is if you go to, that is Banner's page, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Collections, Characters. Oh, that's not me. Collections, Campaign, and I go to Sunday, View Campaign, and I go to Banner, and I view, and instead of linking to this page, I go here, and I say shareable link, and I copy that. I think, and now let's see, we're going to delete this and add a return and this one and say create bookmark. And it fetches a preview. It didn't work. Never mind. The previews should have the stats. It might be the size. If I say view open as a page. Yeah, see, it's got a little bookmark that's got his stats in it. So I can see he's got 22 hit points, 44 hit points, 22 AC, all that kind of thing. So that you can actually open up any one of the cards as a page, and it was the width of the page didn't show it, but now it does because you can see that I got a little stat block for him, so that's cool. So he is a Warforged Paladin of the Becoming God, fought for years in the last war. He's very interested in finding the Becoming God or creating him. He's a member of the Godforge, which is a group of Warforged that are trying to build their own god. And there's some options of meeting some other Godforge and then getting involved with some Godforge / Lord of Blades business that's going on. So that can be cool. That is played by Joe. So going back to characters, that's the one problem with the opening up it as a page. Sunday characters, we have Saber. So Saber is a long-tooth shifter monk, bounty hunter, and is part of the Temple of Balinor and belongs to the Order of Four Winds, which is a group of shifter monks from the Eldine Reaches. He is interested in fulfilling more of the part of his part of the Draconic Prophecy. We have Shift. Shift is a Warforged Warlock, Pact of the Undying. She was one of the original Warforged, built from human material. She has a missing 24 hours, and she realized that it's necromantic magic that's powering her, and that her life was actually fueled by Lady Ilmaro of the Emerald Claw, and that her brother may be Lord Crash could be her brother. Maybe that hasn't come out yet, so we'll find out. So these are like little bits of secrets that I've got for the character that I could pull in other games. We have Shane Husk. Shane Husk is he is an author. He wrote a book about the Mourning and the Last War. He's kind of a shyster a little bit, and he's pretty popular. He's like a popular novelist, so they really enjoyed when he went to the bar and everybody started, all the college kids recognized him and were like swooning over him, and that he had to sort of cause a distraction so the rest of the party could go make their way down, and then he had to get sort of like whisked away by his people. So it was very fun. They really enjoyed that. There's some fun inter party role playing there. That was really fun. I should make a character for his biggest fan. That would be a good thing to do for NPCs. And then we have Arwen Chi Zizu, who is a scribing gnome artificer. Father was a famous hero. When you're smart, part of House Civis, dragon marked House Civis, and has a necklace a dodecahedron necklace that they know is somehow connected to finding a place called Claw Rift. Claw Rift is where the mourning happened. So those are the characters. So I have completed step 1. We'll go back here. Characters are reviewed. Bang. So strong start. The problem I have is I forgot what I did last session. So it's either the attack of the Alep or Valentine. So here's a trick. I don't know if I knew this last time I did this, but you can do @ you type the @ symbol and you can connect it to a page. So when I it filled it out automatically, and when I click this, it goes to Valentine Flametouched, right? So you can do very quick wiki style connections by typing the @ symbol and then connecting things. That is a super valuable tip. I learned that last Sunday from my friend Juliet, who plays in this game, and I was told her, but it would be really great if there was a way to interlink pages. And she's like, oh, there is. Just type the @ symbol, and it will search for the title, and you can drop that in. Like, oh, so much better. So that is a super valuable trick for connecting your notes together. It also lets you interconnect cards. So, for example, in the Valentine Flametouched, I have Leto Skal's right hand, right? And Leto Skal is linked. And then, Leto Skal is here, and then against Cavella, right? And I can click Cavella, and I get a card for Cavella. So you get these like really cool interconnected cards that help you quickly navigate through all of your notes, which I really sort of dig. So that is the strong start. So the scenes are acquire the tome and the orb, and lack, right? And again, I'll show that at lack. And this page is lack. And I just got to make sure that it's in the right campaign. See, Eberron Second Mourning, because I have lack as one of the examples as well. So acquire the tome and lack. Escape from the Moorgrave. And I think, is it time to bring in some Emerald Claw? We might have some Emerald Claw guys show, right? Some Emerald Claw shock troops show up. Something blows up. And next, what are the next steps, right? Next options. And those are face Lord Crash. Hunt down the Emerald Claw. Hunt down the Emerald Claw and face Lord Crash. So that's sort of getting rid of the Emerald Claw angle. What else could they do? Are there any other sort of final options in this campaign that I want them to do? I don't think so. So acquire the Gold Bright, right? And stop Skal's. So Skal is leaving. Skal has, as soon as this all happens, I think, well, these guys might try to get the book to Skal. So Skal might show up, right? Skal wants his book. He might just show up and ask for the book, right? And then, and he has, yes, this is some complicated stuff. Yeah, and I'm going to talk more about this, but let me get the game notes set, and then we'll come back to some of the thinking a couple horizons out, right? We'll talk about keeping the horizons out. Let's take a look at chat. Lots of people talking in chat today. Notion supports Markdown. Yes, awesome. Thanks. Good morning. Second Mourning is a hardcover. It is my own creation. This is a homebrew campaign, but set in Eberron. People like Markdown. Great. Thank you. I like Markdown too. I've used it forever. Yeah, a little discussion about how I copy and paste OneNote stuff into Notion as well for testing. It works well. I just find it a little bit slower when mentioning stuff. Yeah, it is a little slower when mentioning, especially if you have a lot of pages. Dig into the database more. Since I have NPCs in my quotients, also have a race and alignment property. Yeah, I would. So one thing about like adding properties. So let's take a quick look at this. There's all of these properties here. Like I have a player one, right, where I kept track of the player, but I don't sort by that, right? So I would not put a property in unless it's something you plan on making a view or filtering on. If you are not filtering or viewing by that, you probably don't need a property. And overdoing properties will make taking notes more painful because you'll feel like you have to fill it out. So I just pretty much have tags, right? I don't do anything other than tags. And even my tags, like the number of tags I have, villain, NPC, location, character, Wednesday, and I'm actually going to rename the Avre one. I did this in the default one, and we're going to call it Scratchpad. And, item, and this one too. I don't think I need a Discord tag anymore. So we're going to delete that tag. Remove. So I have Wednesday and Sunday. That's to split up my character sets because I'm running 2 different sets of characters per campaign. So I need those. But there's villain, NPC, location, character, item, Scratchpad, right? So I don't have that many tags. And that's because those are the only things I filter on. So I'm trying to, I don't want to overdo it, right? And it's easy. Oh, this is not in the Scratchpad. I don't want to overdo it because it'll become hard, right? You got to like fill out a bunch of stuff. So the idea of like storing alignment and other sort of traits, I think can be a draw, and there might be good reasons to do so. But it can also kind of the idea of tracking everything and try to make everything structured might end up being a hassle. So I would recommend caution with adding too many. I would add an element when you're going to filter on it or make a view, but I would not do it otherwise, including search. Like I wouldn't worry about search because it does full text search. So you can find everything anyway. You don't need to put a tag in to be searchable. You can put it just like if I type Dask in, it'll find Dask. So, yeah. What other notes? One new, way more wiki-like. Yeah. I think OneNote has ways to link internally to pages. I don't know. And people love OneNote. So I'm not bashing OneNote. People love using OneNote, and you should use what you dig. I'm just digging this now, and I want to talk about it. And I know a lot of people have been using Notion for this, which is why I dig it. And I saw some other people try Legend Keeper. And there's Legend Keeper. There's a couple of others that are built specifically for tracking stuff for RPGs. And I think the one feature I have heard that other people want, I don't really need it, but other people want it, is a way to put like pins on a map and then have those pins linked to stuff. I could see that being pretty useful. If you bring up a map of a place, you can drop a pin on the map and you can like link that to a page, and like imagine having the map of the Mournland and dropping these pins on it. That would be pretty sweet. Notion does not do that. And I know that some of the RPG ones do that. But then they have trade-offs as well, like complicated. World Builder, I think World Builder is James Intercastle's blog. I forgot what the other ones are, but there's other ones. So what else? OneNote. Add a property for player. Yeah, if you want to build a few for all of John's players, then you'd probably want to add player. View. Definitely possible to overdo Notion. Yeah, overdoing Notion could be a thing. World Anvil, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, and World Anvil is like any award-winning site, and it does do the pin thing. And I looked at it. I made an account and everything, but boy, I got like over. So I just got into Notion. I'm not about to go try a different one and move everything over to another one. And boy, it has a lot of stuff in there, and it's mostly like a lot of world building stuff that I don't really need. Like my style is low key and focused on the next session. So Legend Keeper beta just opened last night. Fates updates. Oh yeah. The other one is like this has Notion has applications for every platform as well as a web-based one. So I find that really useful. It formats really well from screen to desktop, iPad, iPhone, all that stuff. All right, so secrets. Lack is an artifact from the Dreaming Dark. From what's that place called? Not Sorakel. Dull Core and the Dreaming Dark. Lack is many millennia old. People don't like the word millennia. Lack is thousands of years old. What does it want? What's its motivation? Motivation is to reconnect the dreaming dark, reconnect Dalcor with the world. That's what it wants. And it thinks it might be able to do so, kind of, hooking up with the characters. Valentine. Gynosphinx. So Valentine Flametouched has a sister, a Gynosphinx named Flamewind. Valentine is cursed. For what? Why? She was cursed in Zendrek. What happened in Zendrek? Murder? A murder of their... Did they have a third sister? And she murdered her? That'd be a good one. Murder's always a good one. The Flamekeeper. That's a good one. That's 4. Whoops. Oh, what's going on here? What other secrets? The Emerald Claw is desperate and plans to blow something up in Sharn. So they're running out of time to stop the Emerald Claw. What else? I've been deleting checkboxes. So that's 5. So what if they have a choice? What they could put a hard choice in front of them. Leto Skal with his huge dragon shard. Leto Skal is leaving with his huge dragon shard. At the same time, the EC plans to blow up a tower in Sharn. Right at the same time they're leaving. So the characters have a choice. This is like a Superman choice, right? Are you going to go stop the Emerald Claw from blowing up this building? Or are you going to go stop Leto Skal from absconding with the Dragon Shard? And now they have that choice, right? And people will die, or, maybe it might come up to that. I don't know if that's going to actually happen. They might be able to stop it ahead of time. What else? Leto Skal is the owner of the Tome of Kol Sur. The legal owner. So I think Leto Skal, we're gonna get rid of the something blows up, and Skal wants his book is going to be the next scene. Leto Skal has financed and equipped the EC in Sharn as a distraction. Right? So Leto Skal is the villain here. And he funded, he's been funding a terrorist group inside Sharn just to keep eyes off of him. And the Knights, the King's Dark Lanterns plans to assassinate Cavella and Leto Skal. they've been hunting them. So the King's Dark Lantern is sort of in the background. This is like another faction kind of working in the background. So we've got some, some secrets and clues that are going on here. I think so. A quick glance at, do I have 2.5 hours, 3 hours worth of material? And we haven't finished everything yet, but probably an hour and a half of them getting out of Moorgrave University. And if we throw in a crashing airship and Emerald Claw shock troops coming out of it, piles of zombies and armed ghouls that are attacking, I think we could, ghoul veterans and the like. I think that would, fill out a couple of hours. And then they go back to their shop and Leto Skull shows up and says, I want my book. And I think you have it. And I legally own it. And here's my guy who's, a lawyer who shows you the contract that says I own it. It was excavated excavated during an operation that I financed, and it's my book. I can go to the authorities, or you can just give me the book back. And then they decide what they want to do. And then meantime, they might, there might be some other opportunities for them to go around the town and learn some more stuff. Like maybe the King's Dark Lantern guy shows up. It's probably enough scenes. That's probably enough scenes to handle it, I think. And maybe when we're going through the rest of this. Okay, so that's steps. Let's see. Characters, strong start, scenes to go through. That's one. Fantastic locations. So these are blank right now, but I already have a location for Moorgrave. I have the Moorgrave Undercellars. And there's Moorgrave University. And I think Tower? Vault of Tower 6. Right, so luckily I've already got 3 locations set up that that I already had played out. So if we go to the Undercellars, this is how they got there. So this is another one of those database cards, right? And I have a nice map here that I pulled from Dyson Logos. I linked to the Dyson Logos one in case I want to get it there, but I also dropped the map right in here. And essentially, it was the Upper West is what took them to the vaults underneath Tower 6. So they know how to get out that way. And they entered from a stairwell. This leads out to the bar that they entered. So they kind of made their way through here. And they might have to make their way back out again. And it might be interesting if, like, somebody else started making their way through here. Could it be maybe some King's Dark Lantern guys got down here? That might be kind of interesting. And the potential for murder, I don't know, some kind of authority. So it could be that they're trying to if they try to make their way back out here, they might run into some King's Dark Lantern guys that are pushing them on the other side. So that could be pretty cool. Then if we go back, Moorgrave University itself, I think I just have some, this is the Vault of Tower 6. I guess I have 2 different Moorgrave Universities. That's confusing. These are all of the potential locations. I have maps. This is the vault itself. They got in. How did they get in? They got in from the north, and they made their way through. The stone golem is in the room right below this that octagonal or the hexagonal chamber, and then they made their way on the western side. They found the secret door, got some stuff there. They headed further to the west, and they got the book and they got the orb. And now the question is, how are they going to escape from here? And they could make their way out through the east, which is how Flametouched got in, which will lead to a different part of the Undercellar. So that could be kind of a neat way in. So I think, and then I've got sort of 10 things that you can find in the Forbidden Vaults. So I have this list of objects that I could throw in here. Some of these they've already picked up, I think. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's the Moorgrave University. And so what does Tower 6 go to? Vault of Tower 6. I guess I made this here twice, right? I probably have 2 locations that I don't really need. So this is the one that I was using for the other group. So I have 2 of the same location in here, which is probably too many. I should probably delete one of those pages. But I think that covers the locations. I don't know. do I need locations for anything, coming up? The nice thing was like when you kind of prep a session, if you over prep a little bit, it'll probably bleed in the next session. It saves you a little bit of time. So particularly for like dungeon delves often take longer than a couple of hours for me. They usually take a couple of sessions. So if I prep a little bit more, then I don't have to do quite as much prep on the other side. Another thing to note is that this is about the most amount of prep that I have to do because this is a homebrew campaign. Probably the only bigger one is if I was running a homebrew world and a homebrew adventure in that world, which is how I think the single largest amount of DMs that do anything are doing that. It's not most DMs. It's not over 50%, I don't think, but many DMs, a good amount of DMs, a high percentage of DMs run their own campaign world with their own adventures. And that's probably the most work you have to do because you have to also figure the world out. I still think that these steps work and you can sort of make up your own world steps there. This is one step easier than that because I'm running an Eberron. So all I have to do is kind of scan the Eberron book to find some things there. And then, of course, easier than that. Well, easier is relatively speaking, a relative term. But playing a campaign adventure like Descent into Avernus requires, for me, less work because that often I know where things are going because the book is telling me where things are going. So that's a consideration here. And when you see me like whipping out these fantastic locations, see, like I don't need. I'll keep them both in there. So then we review the NPCs. This one I actually have linked. I think let's see if it's linked to the right. Yeah, like it is. And so I'm like, which NPCs kind of matter here? And if I want, I can sort of drag them to the top. So like I can just say like, we're going to drag Flamewind up there. Amy Grayskin, probably not. I can sort of reposition the NPCs by moving the cards around. And, I don't have to get too crazy about it. But Agnes Kiernan is a university professor. I don't have to get crazy about it. This guy is the... King's Dark Lantern, Mr. Breland. So what else? I think that is pretty. Oh, Wormhowler was one of their guys, right? Wormhowler was somebody they picked up. Dragging is not the most, narrow screen. So now I got kind of the NPCs in mind that I'm considering, right? And I don't have to like deep dive into them because I kind of know them. So I'm not going to click on each one. Sort of I don't have to go as in depth as I do when I'm looking at the characters. It's just kind of getting the NPCs in mind and saying like, is there anybody missing from here that I like need to bring up? One person that would be fun is a new character. Let's go to names and Isabel. Star something. Stalegiver. That's a great one. Starstruck. That's a good one. And she's an NPC. And she is Shane Husk's biggest fan. And we're going to go, who's the girl from Almost Famous? Kate Hudson. There we go. New tab in case it's bigger. There we go. We will copy that image. And we will put her in there. That is Lidos. That is Isabel Starstruck is Shane Husk's biggest fan. So she might show up. She might show up later. And I think the idea that she is actually craftier than she originally came across, and she's like, I'm his biggest fan. I think that'd be cool. So we can move her up because she might show up. Bink. There we go. So those are the NPCs. I have reviewed the NPCs. Monsters. So we have ghouls. I love me some ghouls. We have Deathlocks. Let's take a look at Deathlocks, right? I think the Deathlocks, they're CR4, but they are a weak CR4, I'll tell you. But maybe a couple of Deathlocks would be good. They are 5th level spellcaster, so that when they do Eldritch Blast, it's 2 blasts. Sorry, my Beyond thing is turned on. Is there a way to disable this? Options. We're going to remove it from Chrome. I like Beyond 20 a great deal, but it gets in the way when I'm not actually clicking the thing. Yeah, so I think Deathlocks would be cool. You could definitely have Deathlocks that work for the Emerald Claw. A couple of those. Ghoul Veterans would be good. So Ghouls, Ghoul Veterans. We have, of course, Jackowares. We have Spies and Veterans of the King's Dark Lanterns. Any other interesting monsters that might be down here? We have the Alep, if we haven't used it already. Anything else? I don't know. I think that's probably good. Coming up with monsters is usually pretty easy for me. I don't really have a lot of trouble with that. Treasure. They just got a bunch of treasure, so I don't think I'm going to be dropping much treasure in here. They're getting the orb, which is like a crystal ball. I don't think anybody's due. Let me drop back up to the characters and see. Second Mourning, Sunday characters. Zarentir's got a wand of magic missiles. Banner just got full plate. He's happy. Saber's got his crazy claw thing. Shift, I don't think has a magic item. She might be due. So we could have a rod. I think Rod of the Pack Keeper is like the best warlock thing ever. So I always like to give Rods of the Pack Keeper to characters. So I think we will drop a Rod of the Pack Keeper in here. I think there was one and they didn't take it. And it is a artifact of Zendrak. Maybe the Drow, but one of the it is a I forget the 3 kinds of Drow in Eberron. There are 3 kinds of Drow. We go to character creation, elves. There are the Drow are virtually not. 3 distinct Drow cultures formed. Volkori, and this is a good. We can like jam this into secrets, right? Volkori are hunters of the scorpion god, known as Volkor. The Sulatar, traditions of elemental shaping, and the Umbrigan, who are descendants from the Drow who fled into the depths of the earth. It is probably a Sulatar Drow. Let's stick this up into. It's gonna be a big ass secret, but whatever. Sulatar Drow Rod. That would be pretty cool. So that's what we've got there. We also, so I have this nice scratch pad that I put in here, and the scratch pad is for like marching orders. It is for battles and initiative and things like that. You can I keep this sort of on hand to actually use during the game. So I feel like I've got enough going on in here for today's game. The trick is, I wanted to spend the next 15 minutes, the rest of the show, talking about where the game is going to go from here and putting together an outline. So I'm going to create a new page. New page. And we're going to call it the open as a page. We'll call it the Second Mourning outline. And so I already have, so like part 1 is all about Sharn. And I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to worry about part 2. And that's the Mournlands. So the whole first half of this campaign, they're 5th level. They'll be 6-ish, probably be 6th level by the time they are done. I'm probably going to slow down their progression a little bit. So there'll be like 2 big adventures before they level up to 6. And although I could go with the advice of leveling quickly and just, yeah, like they like leveling. So why don't I let them level? So I'll probably level them up after this. They'll probably be 7th level by the time they are done with Sharn and they're on their way to the Mourning. And I want to, this is for the Sunday game. So like, what are the things that I want them to be able to do? So they'll have an airship. I definitely want to have some, so one option, what I want to do with this outline is just like, what are the big chunks, right? Like, what are the big things that they might do? And one of them is Old Sharn. I know it's not in the Mournlands, but they were interested in traveling to Old Sharn, and that could be something that they want to do. I want to do some ruins of the what's the Goblin Empire? Somebody help me out. Save me a search. The name of the original old Goblin Empire that existed before the rest of the humanoids were on Corvair. There's also, let's go back over to here. I might as well use both my windows, right? Locations. Corvair Gazetteer. Let's go to the Mournlands. Sire, the Mournlands. So, interesting things about Sire. Sire was was the ancestral seat of the Dragon Mark, Kenneth House, and House of Making. A house maintained. We definitely have a lot of Kenneth stuff here. Once the seat of House Kenneth placed one of the magic on Marvels. Is Eston destroyed? This was a place of wonder. Clockwork Menagerie. I think Metrol. So Eston could be a place that they go. Deccan. Yeah. Thank you, Shout77. The Deccan Empire is where I wanted to go. Ruins of Deccan, right? And the Deccani Empire. I think it's with an I at the end. So Eston could be a neat place to go. What else do we have? Once the capital of Galifar, Metro was known as the Rising City for many buildings. So it's Cathedral of the Sovereign House, the center. Vault served as the mint and treasury containing cultural places. Aftermath of the Last War. I thought there was more in here. There's a whole city. I think maybe it's under the Mournland Adventures. If we go to Adventures, the Last War. Yeah, here we go. The Mournland, right? Mournland environment. The Mist Wall, the Glowing Chasm. Glowing Chasm's kind of a cool place. Put that in here. We have creatures and monstrous mutations. Sites and ruins. This is what I wanted. Eston. So House Kenneth was born in Eston, and it's the house labors to transform the city into a place of wonders. It's an irresistible attraction to treasure hunters. Eston began as a successful mining settlement. So Eston is definitely... it doesn't describe much of what it's like now, does it? A lot of wild magic went on there. Making in the Glass Plateau. The city of Making is where the mourning took place. So Making in the Glass Plateau could be sort of where it's going. Metro. So this is the one. I love this piece of art too, right? So we're gonna let's open image, new tab, and we're gonna copy that image, and we are going to go here and go to my locations. And what I should be doing, and I'll do this for the other one, is making location cards for each of these places that I was just looking up. So I can grab this and add it in, right? And now I'll have a nice location card ready to go. So these are like the big places that I want. Lots of adventure hooks. Yeah, I'll probably read up further on this. The Warforged Colossus, would be a great thing to explore. Maybe there's 2 of those, right? I should write these more in my notes. Just sitting here talking. So let's see. Ruins of Dakani Empire, Eston, Warforged. The Glass Plateau, Making. Making in the Glass Plateau. I can yank this stuff out of here now. So what I'm trying to do is just like, I'm starting with what are cool places that I want them to explore. And then of course I have Claw Rift. So these are like locations. So let me, come on, give me a thing up there. And then we'll have sort of plots, right? I think the Emerald Claw, well, the Emerald Claw, Lady Elmaro calls to Shift, right? I think she's going to send, I think Lady Elmaro is going to contact Shift directly. The train ride. I definitely want to have a train ride on an insane Warforged train. That's probably the only way to get to the Glass Plateau. Like nobody can get there, but if you want to go from Metro to the Glass Plateau, you have to take this train. That would be pretty cool. What other major plots? Oh, the Daughters of Sorakel want the bomb. So they're going to kind of step up as a new front. But I think, so as part of the Explorers Guild, there's sort of lots of places to explore. And I think I want to, so one thing I want to do is once, there's going to be a big conclusion at the end of the Sharn section, right? There's going to be a big confrontation with Leto Skull as he tries to flee Sharn. He's going to get on his ship. and he's gonna sail. He's gonna zoom off towards the Mournland, and they're gonna lose track of him, right? And then there's like there'll be a moment where like they'll be keeping track. They might lose track of him. They might stop him and kill him, right? And whatever they do as they recover it, that'll be sort of the end of this this section. And then I want to kind of dial it back, and I want to put them back in the point of view of explorers. And I want them to have the option. So set up the guild hall outside the Mournland. So I want them to have some time where there isn't a major event that they have to solve, and they have sort of options about. I want to put some options in place and say, like, here's some exploration options you have, right, where you can just go explore places. And then here are some plot-driven things that you can dig into. And then see, like, do the players want to just go see places and have some fun, focused adventures, like one-shot kind of things? Or do they want to kind of dig into the plot line itself? And you need to dial back the risk. So you don't want to have them feel like, well, if we don't follow these plot lines, like bad things are going to happen. It's like, no, they're slow burners. So you have time to kind of explore without digging into the plots. You're not going to lose track of stuff. And I think that's important. Storm King's Thunder did a pretty good job of this, of saying, like, right up front, there's no urgency in this adventure. Like, once, from step to step, you don't have to worry about them immediately following through with stuff or bad things happen. And I want to do the same here. Like, there's definitely big things going on in Sharn, and it's mostly Leto Skal screwing with things. As soon as they take care of Leto Skal one way or the other, either they face him and they defeat him, or he gets away. But either way, once he's gone, like, Sharn's safe. Once the Emerald Claw has been eliminated, and once Leto Skal is taken care of, the risk to Sharn is gone. And then they have some options for, hey, you were interested in exploring old Sharn, you can do that. Or you can head to the edge of the Mournland and set up a new guild hall for us there as part of the Finders Guild. And we'll have new jobs for you when you're there. And then hint at these other plot lines, like, have these sort of, the big plot lines are going to move out. The Daughters of Sora Kell and Lady Elmaro will become like new. Oh, and then the Lord of Blades, and the Lord of Blades and the Becoming God is sort of another storyline that we can throw in here. So that way the players have some options of kind of dialing it back, or putting on, or hitting the gas, right? Do they hit the brakes and take it easy, or do they pump the gas and head deep into it? Another thing is, like, how long do I want to run this campaign, right? And some of that is going to depend on when the new D&D hardback adventure comes out. So I don't mind having this go beyond the point where that hardback adventure has come out. But I would like to play that one. I don't need to play it on day one. One thing that's very interesting, like, here's a 2-minute thought. And like part one and part two of the Mournlands, I don't have to, I can kind of like keep these thoughts going in my head, but I need them because both of my Sharn adventures are starting to come to the end, and I need to figure out what they're going to do next and how. And I don't really have much of a thought about that. But an interesting thing, and here's something I kind of recommend, that when you are looking at hardback adventures, something happened with Descent into Avernus that I thought was very interesting. I did a 45-minute show yesterday. You can see it up on YouTube, where I talked about running Chapter 1 of Descent into Avernus. And the interesting thing about running Descent into Avernus was I definitely benefited from all of the people who had run it before me. Reading Reddit and reading Twitter and talking to friends of mine who have run it, I was able to get a much better idea of where its strengths and its weaknesses were. I sort of was able to digest the adventure over a longer period of time. And doing so meant that when I ran it, I was able to it was a lot more fun for me because I knew what some of the bigger problems were and how other people had either wished they had done things to make it better or actually did do some things to make it better. In the case of Descent into Avernus, the number one, I mentioned this in the show yesterday, I'm going to mention it again just in case you're just running Descent into Avernus and you didn't hear me yesterday. The number one thing you can do to make Descent into Avernus better, from my experience so far, is make sure that the characters have a clear tie to Elturel, the Hell Riders, and Rhea Mantlemorn. And that changes the whole motivation for the whole campaign if your characters really care about Elturel, the Hell Riders, and Rhea Mantlemorn. Now, all the questions about why the hell are you in hell go away. Or why would you do this? Or why are 5th level people being asked to save an entire city? All those go away when the characters have a direct interest in saving Elturel. So that wasn't clear to me when the adventure first came out, and it became clear to me, and there were a lot of modules and things, lots of accessories that were released on DM's Guild, and I benefited from that. So my point with this is, like, when a new hardback adventure comes out, it's not bad to wait 6 months, right? It's not bad to kind of let it, like, it doesn't matter to you and your friends, right? You don't have to, like, oh, I need to play it right now, so I'm part of the cool group. Like, nah, you don't, right? And I think with a lot of the adventures I've run, I've started running them a couple of months, at least a couple of months after they came out, 2-3 months after they came out. Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation, Curse of Strahd, Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and now Descent into Avernus. All of those, first of all, they're not coming out as often. They're coming about once a year instead of once every 6 months, which is nice. And it gives you a couple of months to read it and understand it. It gives a couple of months for producers to make really good products, like supplementary products for it. And it gives you a lot of experience in what other DMs' directions were. Like the Alexandrian has a great redo of Descent into Avernus that people really like. And I think he did the same thing for Dragon Heist. And it's great when you can see, like, how other DMs sort of take the hardback adventure and twist it into something that's even better than what originally is there. So there's an advantage in waiting. Now, the funny thing is, so as a content producer, right, as a guy who makes these YouTube videos, and I make the show that you're watching right now, and I write for Sly Flourish, you would imagine that I would have a big interest in sort of being on the spot, right? That, like, I need to write an article on Sly Flourish the day it comes out. There's, like, what do they call it? When you, like, there's a name for it when you're not allowed to, an embargo, right? There's embargoes, like people get review copies of things. I don't get review copies. I used to get review copies. I don't get review copies anymore. I don't know why. Hot take. Yeah. So I don't get review copies, but I buy them, right? And I'm excited for the next one, and I'm definitely going to buy it. I don't feel like I have to write about it right away. And one problem is, like, 1 million people and big publishers write reviews of it, and they, like, hammer through it, and they write about it, and they talk about it. And if you read the initial reviews from both mainstream publications and from fans and bloggers, those bloggers, and I make fun because I'm a blogger, and you listen to what they say, most of the reaction is very excited, very happy. And if you read it about Descent into Avernus, they're super positive about it. And you read it, and it's like, I've multiple times I read things that said, this is the best D&D adventure that Wizards has ever made. That's not true. And I don't, it's certainly arguable, but it's flawed, and no one mentions the flaws, right? And there's definite flaws in Descent into Avernus. It's a fine adventure. It's worth the money. It's not too hard to twist into something great, but you got to do some work. And that's pretty much the case with all of the adventures that I've run. But it takes me running it before I really understand that, right? And it takes a month or two to digest it, and it takes them more than a couple of months to see how other people are playing it and what their experiences are, and then it takes me actually running it. And that's why, like, I'm just starting to write Descent into Avernus stuff. I've written 2 articles. One's published and one's not even published yet about Descent into Avernus, right? It's been out for a long time. Well, the other thing is it's still out, so I don't think. Hey, some Amazon Prime. So I don't think it's not worth buying. I think these things are worth buying because I've given this whole, man, I'm sorry, I'm going over time, but it's important. When you think about how much these books cost, it costs like $50 MSRP, but the amount of energy and money that went into making it is like 1,000 times that. Yeah, probably. 2,000 times, you're getting a huge value for $50. Even if you just steal ideas and look at the art, you're getting a huge value for it. You don't have to run it cover to cover as is to get $50 out of it. It's still worthwhile, but that doesn't mean it doesn't need work in order to run as a big campaign adventure. It does need work. And you can capitalize off of other people's experiences if you wait a little while before you start to run it. That's my super long-winded way of saying I'm probably going to keep the Eberron game going a couple of months into the publication of the next adventure so that I can get a better idea of what the next adventure is like and how it needs to be modified in order to suit me and my groups. And do I recommend other people do that? It's up to you, right? You can run it as is. Because frankly, I would like it if all of you ran it first and then told me your experiences, so then my game is better than yours. That is certainly one way to go. But you could also, like, lots of people are going to run it regardless of what I say. So it's not evil of me to wait for other people to have their experiences. And who does it benefit to talk about it right away? It benefits the marketing, right? And like, that's fine, but I'm more interested in a good adventure than I am in the marketing and helping the marketing. So lazy. Game Stammer says, so much lazy. I like to stay true to my brand. Evil John says, his Avernus game died of apathy. That's too bad. I'm sorry to hear it. But thank you for your experiences. So yeah, anyway, that's my thought about what's going on. We will know, I guess, by next Sunday when I'm doing this show, we will know what the next adventure is. I think a lot of us know what it is anyway, because it got leaked. But we'll be able to know more about it, and it'll be interesting to talk about it. And hopefully we will certainly know a date of when it's coming out. And then when that date comes out, I can kind of think about like, how long do I want my Eberron game to go? And a lot of it is like, how interested are the players interested in doing it? Do they want to go to like 14th and 15th level? I'd be good with that. It was originally going to be 10, but I don't mind going 15, like 14th level, 7 levels of each thing. So yeah, Evil John says, have you signed up for a table? I did. So Thursday I'm playing a game with them. So that'd be fun. Anyway, I have gone over on time. I hope you have enjoyed this show. If you have any questions about how to use Notion for campaign building, let me know. You can hit me up on Twitter or something like that. I'm writing an article about how to do it. I also have a video. Well, last week's video was about how to do it. So if you can watch last week's video. And I have an article that I'm working on currently where I'm filling it out. But I find Notion to be really good and really useful. And you'll be seeing me using it more and more as I'm doing these shows. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you for letting me rant for 8 minutes beyond the normal show. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope we will all together kind of sit and enjoy what Wizards is coming out next week. And I will talk to you guys then. Have a great week and get out there and play some D&D.